everybody. I'm Dr. Cindy Howard, a chiropractic internist and nutritionist, and your host of the Positively Altered podcast. Today, my guest, who I'm going to introduce you to in a moment, is so brilliant in the world of holistic, whole person medicine. But I have to tell you, I met her probably about 15 years ago. I'm guessing, I'm not good at dates. We spent a very long weekend in a hotel room with a bunch of other brilliant people discussing high-level ideas for a nutraceutical company. And I will tell you right there and then, I was impressed, and I knew that she was a rock star and that our paths were going to have to cross again. And I think we've crossed a couple times since, but this one I am super excited about. She is a naturopathic doctor. She has written a couple books. One is called Creating and Maintaining Balance, A Woman's Guide to Safe Natural Hormone Health. Boy, if that's not a challenge, I don't know what is. And The Healing Power of Trauma, Comfrey, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. She's also had some appearances on Dr. Oz and the doctors, so she must know what she's doing because they certainly wouldn't have had her if she didn't. You are going to be absolutely wowed by my next guest. So grab something to drink in a comfy spot on the couch and listen to a couple of our sponsors because they're really important to me. And we are going to be right back with today's guest.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing is simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back to the Positively Altered podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest today, Dr. Lucille. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. So before we got started, we were talking a little bit about music. I really thought you were going to make this massive entrance, like jamming on the instruments, singing. No?
Well, I was making my own bone broth over the weekend, and I have a little bone broth injury because sharp knives and moving quickly, which I do sometimes. I would like it to call it efficiently. Other people might call it careless, but I'm taking a rest from any playing right now. But thanks so much.
Well, next time we'll hear the music. But then I have to ask you before we jump into some really interesting details. How'd you treat the cut? I mean, naturopathic doctor, you have to have some sort of secret magic remedy, right?
Well, pressure would probably be one of them. Okay. That's nature's best thing, a little pressure. And then there was a couple swear words involved. I promise you that. I think that's very therapeutic at some times. And then my wife saying, what now? And I said, please go get the Band-Aids. So that's basically how all that went down.
So the natural treatment was swear words, pressure, and Band-Aids. I love that. And somebody somewhere once said that the most intelligent human beings swear.
Yeah, it's like, I have heard that before. I try to keep it, with safe people like you, but sometimes.
Well, this is a no filter, time that we spend together, Holly. So you can let fly whatever you need to fly. There is no judgment here, and you can lead me down any rabbit hole I'm probably going to follow. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
I'll follow you. But I also want to just one little piece. We did meet, and I'm bad with times too, probably about 15 years ago in a hotel room. And they said, hey, you get to go to this exciting venue in Chicago. And we're going to be with all these crazy brilliant minds, and we're just going to have a data dump of new ideas and innovations for the future for this one company. And we were not in Chicago. I think we were in someplace called Rosemead, maybe
Rosemont.
Okay, well then there's that. Okay, but I would just want to say it was not Chicago.
Everything
else was my only beef.
Right. Well, you know what? I mean, like, I'm when I meet people and they say, where are you from? I actually say Chicago, because if I said Frankfurt, which is the town I live in, people go, Germany. And I'm like, and then I got to explain, like, no, right. It's not that glamorous. So, whenever anybody is from anywhere else, we say Chicago, even if the meeting is like an hour and a half outside of the city, it was Chicago.
I just had better expectations than we were.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. But you know what? I didn't call the meeting to order, so I can't really take personal responsibility in that. I just showed up.
But I love being there because I got to meet you.
Same here. And there were a lot of sticky notes. I actually remember that event pretty vividly. It was kind of fun. Lots of good stuff came out of that. So, all right, I want to jump right in because I find it very fascinating. We're all doctors of different types of medicine that's out there. And you're a naturopathic doctor. And one of the things that I know is a lot of people don't know what that is, truly. Like, we throw around these words of the type of physicians, but like, what does that mean? I'm a naturopathic doctor.
That's such a great question. And, to be honest, like for you and for I, docere in Latin, right, means to teach. So I decided that I was going to have to teach my entire life people what the heck, what are you? Your elevator speech. I'm like, you're a what? And so, 20 plus years later, I'm still teaching what I am. And I think it's a great question. So I do believe that there is value in all systems of medicine, right? Traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, conventional allopathic medicine, chiropractic medicine, etc. And they're just different systems, right? So my parents were both pharmacists. And I was well-versed in the here, take this approach to medicine. That's how I was reared. And for some reason, even as a young kid, I just didn't get it. And I thought there was something better. And then I went to conventional nursing school, and I still had that same attitude. And I all of a sudden thought, well, common denominator of me being a little bit miserable in life right now is me. And so I'm like, is it me? Is it me? Then I found the American Holistic Nursing Association. And what I found there as an adult person was that it was almost like that the first time I ever came home in my skin, like, because it wasn't my education that wasn't incredible. It was the way that I could apply it. So the different principles being more comprehensive, not so reductionistic. And then through that process, I found about naturopathic medicine. So we are licensed in many states as quote unquote primary care doctors. Okay. So 4-year, full year round, those basic sciences are hit again. And then you go into laboratory diagnosis, clinical diagnosis, physical diagnosis. And then you've got shifts, and you graduate and you have to take boards and all that good stuff. What separates, I think, from, let's just say, what people know as doctors would be our principles. So identify and treat the cause. Treat that whole person, right? So their relationships with their history, with themselves, with the people around them, with their environment, with their food, with their attitude, those things. Prevention is the cure. Doctor as teacher, or for me, doctor as facilitator of understanding. Like, I want people to get it so they can own it as their own. And there's a couple more in there I know that I've missed, but it's that, and the healing power of nature. Our bodies have this innate ability to heal. So let's look at that and go, if it's not, and there's a clinical situation, what's in the way? Ask those questions, help remove those obstacles to cure, and let the body do its job.
So I think you said something really interesting in there that we also get wrong. When you talk about whole body, a lot of people think head to toe, right? Because there's a lot of specialists that just do thyroid, or they just do liver, or they just do gut. So we say, oh, we got to take care of the whole person head to toe, but there's more to it than just our physical body, which is really whole health, right? And you hit on a lot of things. And let's run down that rabbit hole. What does it really mean? Whole health, whole body healthcare.
Yeah, whole person healthcare. So I'm just going to give you this example that you asking this question just brought up, and it's clinical. I had this lovely woman who was, she had to be, I would say, in her mid 40s, and still cycling, still robust, very vital, healthy. Some of my favorite patients, well, they're all favorites, but are just these wellness people that just want to be weller, right? And so it's so fun to really partner with them. But she was having a very difficult time with her libido. And so, you do good clinical acumen, you take the case and you have a hypothesis, and then rule in, rule out with some testing and stuff. And I just was doing my darndest and my best medicine. And finally, when things really weren't working, I got to tell you, and this was such a deep lesson for me. It was probably our third follow-up, but I had seen her before for other things. But she was really like, I need to get a hold of this. And I said, can I just ask you, how do you feel about your husband? And she broke down into a ball of tears. And I'm like, I don't have a supplement for that. I don't have a modality for that. Well, I do. Maybe it's like a husbandectomy. But the core of her libido issue, which was showing up physically, was this hostility and animosity that she was carrying around and was unresolved. So for me, that's just an example of, I needed to be, for me, even better at the beginning of looking at this person as a whole person, and not just, understanding different biomarkers that made sense to test in a case like this. Like, I wanted to get to know her a little bit better, so I really understood. So I think whole person care, also, when we're talking about these different systems of medicine, is really something we are starting to define, because all of us can do it, right? We can, yes, there are specialists in each of our disciplines and each of our, systems of medicine. But if we really start looking at people as whole people, I think that the extraordinary and astonishing healthcare costs, we can actually start from a policy perspective, right, to come down. Like we can just really elevate this entire process.
Well, and we're getting it wrong, right? Because visits are now 5 minutes, and it's hard to learn anything about anybody in 5 minutes, truly, right? And there's I'm at a loss for the word, but protocols, right? There's just set protocols, and if this presents, you give that, and you write that script, or you move to this specialist, and everything's an algorithm now, instead of really listening to a human being and trying to figure out what they need. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of branches of medicine that really excel, but don't do that part well.
Yeah. I've always said, I don't have protocols, I have wake up calls. So I just try to get people to wake up to maybe what's going on.
So I have to, I want to ask you an interesting question. In my practice, and people always kind of look at me like I've got, 3 heads when I say this. Sometimes in a visit, I'll say, I truly don't care what you do. And then I pause, and then I explain, because really it's not my decision what you do. I care that you're educated so that you can make some proper decisions on what is important to you, right? And I'm curious how you feel about that, because if all we do is just dictate what people should do, I'm not sure that that's really great medicine.
I think you are onto something. Again, I'm not surprised. So from very early on, I'm very sensitive to words. Like somebody says, I can't wait. And I'm like, you could hardly wait, but you can wait. I'm just kind of like, just very sensitive words. And doctor's orders, right? That's a big thing. Yeah, here's your doctor's orders. When I was a nurse, I had to take doctor's orders. I always made sure that I made recommendations, because these are simply my recommendations based on my education, my experience, and what I know about your case, right? Now, if you follow through with them, right, that's a whole different story. And I agree with you. There are people that I care for these days where I'm going to say, look, because I got into a little pickle myself with a diagnosis of breast cancer, I started focusing because, again, the 5-minute visit to the only appointment that I was too scared not to go to, which was my conventional oncologist, lasted about 5 minutes. And it was like, here, take this. And if that doesn't work, we've got 3 more we can try. I'm like, wait, what? And so I got a little incensed, and I'm like, if this is what people go through, I have to get in and help. And so, I'll say to people, you can always ask me if I were you, because I'm never going to tell you what to do, but that's fair. And then I also say, you're the boss. You're definitely going to be the boss. I'm going to give you my best laid plans based on what I know, my education, my experience, et cetera, but you are the boss. The other thing, though, I want to say to your incredible question is I do think that there's a difference between compliance, right? So, oh, she said do this, or she asked me to do this, or she recommended I do this. And adherence. Adherence is that faithful attachment to something, right? What makes it sticky? So I changed my intake form to actually reflect that. So people, and I even say it in my intake form, I'm like, hey, is there anything that can make this relationship better by me knowing a little bit more about how you learn? Because some people are like, give me a detailed plan and let me go. I don't want to hear from you again.
Right.
And other people are like, I would like a check-in, every other week. And so I started to nuance and discern with that a little bit more. And it's made a big difference because people learn different and they behave different based on different motivations.
Yeah, I always say, I want to meet you where you're at, and then we move forward together, right? I'm an all or nothing girl. Like if you tell me to do 42 things, I'm either going to do all 42 or I'm going to do none of them. But not everybody does that, right? Like I have patients who literally like, I can only do this one thing to see what it does and how I react. And I might have a list of 42 things, but we do that one thing at a time. And then we move to number 2. And as much as I'm like, oh my God, this is so slow, it doesn't matter, right? It's not where I'm at. It needs to be where you're at. And then we move together. And, I think that's a great thing for people out there to recognize is finding the right practitioners. So naturopathic, chiropractic, MD, it doesn't matter, right? You find your team, but they have to be able to move through your care, those recommendations at a pace that works for you.
Yeah. And, I just was fired by a patient and she was pulling up studies on mice, and I was kind of giving her my recommendation based on actually human cell lines. And they were just different. And, the way, first of all, medical education and also studies are conducted at this point in time, that randomized double-blind, you've got to be really keen on how you read these studies these days. Because if you want to find a vantage point, I guarantee you can find a study to support it. Yes. And so, especially when there's, so much information and people are actually getting medical information from platforms like TikTok or Instagram and stuff. I'll never, this is the one thing that I'm really sensitive to with people. I read, my friend told me, I heard, I'm like, never going to fly with me. I will look at anything you send me that's part of this relationship, but I have to understand your context and I need to get in and see the data so I can actually, it's like, I heard that this was bad for me and you recommended, and I'm like, we can't even start there. So do a lot of education on that.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. And to your point, I speak all over the country. And when I want research to support what comes out of my mouth, you're absolutely right. I'll pull something up and I'll, oh, no, that's not what I said. And then I nix that. And then I find, oh, that's what I said. And then I put it in my presentation. Right. And I think that's very valid it's that spin factor, right? We can spin anything in a way that we want to validate something that we're trying to encourage. For me, what I think is really fun is just the clinical experience, right? Like I've got a ton of clinical experience and I can say, look, this is what's worked for other people, my practice, no guarantee. We're going to walk through it together. We tweak as we go, we change, right? And it's fun because to your point, it is that relationship. It's not I read a paper, take this supplement in that dose, guaranteed to work. Call me in 6 months when you have your next problem.
Right. No. Nope.
Right.
I mean, that's what I say. It's like, I always like, it's always been a little bit of a, conundrum for me because I always felt like my goal should probably be to get people maybe not to need me. Like if I do my job well, occupational hazard, I really like working with you, but you're well, yay, bye. But at the same time, what I've learned, especially in the last decade or so with our environmental assaults being so much more intrusive into our health conditions and stuff, there's just a little bit more relationship that needs to stay, consistent and connected.
Right. I think there's two cool things about that. One, I actually think your point is valid. It is fun, you're well, goodbye, because there's still millions of other people that need the appointment in your office that then we're not able to help if we keep
Yeah.
people. This has always been my philosophy from day one in practice. I've always said, I want you so well that your last appointment you have with me, you're not sure why you came in because you feel so great. You have nothing to chat with me about other than like, hey, how are your kids? Right. And it becomes about me instead of them. And then two, but this is where the beauty is. I want to see you once a year for that good check-in, for that good set of blood work. So now we can be preventative, right? We can watch for things that may occur versus waiting for you now to get sick and call me when you need me, because you actually need all of us before you're sick.
Yeah. So it's prognostic versus diagnostic medicine. Yes, people get diagnosed with unfortunate stuff all of the time, but wonder if we flip that and we practice prognostic medicine. Are we, let's just look at you and let's make sure prevention is the cure. I mean, perfect, brilliant point.
So we've both walked through cancer. So high five, part of the club, not a great club, but a great club, right? If you got to be a part of it, you got to have some really cool people in it.
Yeah.
What do you do anything differently now that you're on the other side that you didn't do before?
Yeah. I mean, I first of all, I was like, oh wait, I'm not invincible. That's crazy. What? Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. As a doctor, as a naturopathic doctor, I feel like I've sort of walked my talk quite a bit, right? But boy, there were some things that I got to hone in on that were blind spots for me. I'll just give you an example. I was doing a Terrain 10 questionnaire, right? So sometimes when you get cancer diagnosis, you've got a team that's going to look at your tumor. But then the way that I was trained is we look at the terrain. So if you've got a goldfish like swimming around in a dirty pond, are you going to vaccinate and care for the goldfish, or are you going to clean out the tank? So it was like clean out the tank. And I have been sucking down Listerine all my life. And I'll tell you why. It reminds me of my grandfather, who I was really fond of, because he always just smelled like that gold bottle of Listerine. Now, not the best for you. I'm sure there, we got studies that there's carcinogenic and toxic chemicals in that. But it was blind to me because it was an emotional sort of thing that I was doing. And, you can look under my kitchen sink. I don't have any toxic cleaning items. You can look at my makeup. I don't have anything they're all eco-friendly and such. I mean, that's just a small little example, but I think taking that inventory, especially with our environment, and then even with food, there's this great app now that I'm kind of obsessed with called Seed Oil Scout. And I could go to a restaurant. I have this little restaurant right up the street, and I always love to have a little like cheers place where it's like, hey, Holly, and like somebody knows your name. But when you ask for a little side of olive oil, and if they don't have olive oil, it's because they never use it. They're only using canola oil. And so I was like, and so I just started to get more about quality. Like I know what good food is and what it looks like, but even in going out to restaurants or order, like I wanted to understand where that food was sourced, how the soil is, what are their practices like, what do they believe in? And so I just got a little bit more nuance with food quality and also just quality around me.
So that makes me think of, you talk sometimes about myths that are out there in the world of what we live in. Give me some of your favorite myths that people are buying into that they've got to stop.
Oh, that's a great question. Myths that people are buying into that they have to stop. So I think it might be the opposite. It's like everybody's into intermittent fasting, right? Or fasting. And I actually think there's nuances about the whole thing. There's two hormones that really drive that process and how beneficial or maybe detrimental it would be. I think it's melatonin and it's insulin. And when even epigenetically, those are released throughout the day for you as an individual. And so sometimes, I mean, look, I think a good 12-hour fast is appropriate, right? So, and not hard. You stop eating at 7:38. You don't start eating until 7:38, period. 12 hours. It's the late night feeding that I think that I would love for people to stop, because I do think that is the time in the circadian rhythm, right back into nature, where everything is starting to downregulate. We're getting ready to, have that cortisol, thyroid hormones, everything just calm down into that parasympathetic place of sleep. And we shouldn't be ramping up cholecystokinin and insulin and taking care of digestion. It's a very big process. And that's just the inappropriate time to be doing that. And I do think that it's creating some of the metabolic diseases that we're seeing across the board. And so that's a big one. That late night feeding, I would say, so I'm sorry, I turned your question upside down, but that one I would love for people to stop. And there's a huge, I think, clinical reason too.
Yeah, no, I love that. So the 2 a.m. pizza when you're home from the bar starting in college, probably not a good lead into adulthood.
I'm sure we have some stories.
Yeah. I was just talking to my son about that. We were on a trip to go visit a school that he's looking at. And we were talking about late night eating and, whether it should be Taco Bell or White Castle or, and again, when I went to college, it was Pizza Hut. It was like the $8 pepperoni and pineapple Pizza Hut pizza. It's just, I couldn't quite buy into the White Castle Taco Bell thing. I
had the bag of cheesy popcorn with the large Diet Coke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because if you're going to drink pop, diet is the way to go, isn't it? Do you remember now? See, I'm going to date how old I am, but do you remember back in the day when everybody was trying to lose weight and Snackwells came out? Do you remember Snackwells?
Right.
And then we all got fat anyway.
No fat, just high sugar.
Yeah.
We got really fat with the fat-free phase.
Right. It was so counterintuitive, wasn't it? We all bought into it because it's great marketing. I'll never forget that green box of Snackwells cookies.
Oh, no. And I think the same thing about all of the different trendy diets, whether it's keto or paleo or carnivore. Again, I go back to food quality. So I was a level 2 CrossFit coach back in the day, and there was an all-female CrossFit gym that I coached at. And paleo was real big, but they were eating like, bacon wrapped bacon or bacon wrapped sweet potatoes. And it's like, yeah, okay. But it's like, no, it's like, so that emphasis on that food quality, organic glyphosate, I think that would be a thing to bring up. Like glyphosate is everywhere. It's in our rainwater now. What is that? It's Roundup. So it's been sprayed everywhere. And our soil is pretty much kind of in trouble because of it. And so we've just got to really understand food quality. So that's a big, big thing. That's my big rabbit hole.
It's hard, I have the joke, if I teach you to be perfect, you're dead because I don't know what to feed you. I mean, like we never even used to buy bottled water, right? I mean, you used to drink it out of the tap back in the day. That's how old I am, right? Yeah, right. Oh yeah, the hose in the backyard, which actually might still be better than the bottled water. I'm not quite sure, but it's very interesting. Everything is so contaminated. So where can we start? Give me 3 of your favorite places that if we're really struggling and we know that the environment is bad, give me 3 things we can do better.
Okay. I think, well, you obviously know of this group, but there's a website. It's a nonprofit, ewg.org. Mm-hmm. So the reason that I love that, I'm not affiliated with them. So there's no like kickback I'm getting, but they've got a cosmetic database, right? They've got their safe sunscreen. You can put in your zip code and it's going to propagate the contamination of your water. And when I say contamination of your water, I'm not like the health of your water, the contamination of your water. And then they've got all these alternatives. So anything I think environmental, that is definitely something to do. Also too, take inventory around your house, your health and beauty aids, what you put on your skin, because your skin is fat soluble. So that stuff goes right into your bloodstream. And if there's toxins in it, you are going to absorb it. I think that as well. And then health and beauty aids, cleaning supplies we talked about, but then just the quality. Oh, I know. I would say this. I actually gave a small little lecture last Monday to a group of entrepreneurs that just wanted to kind of take that longevity slant, right? So they're making lots of money. They're doing really well. So they want to stay healthy. Their chronological age, they want their biological age to be as young as possible. And just so they can spend all of their money. And I brought a little show and tell, which was, how you can go to a high-end supermarket and get like this beautiful organic broccoli. And then what do? You pull that plastic bag from the roll and you place it in the plastic, okay? So there's these mesh cotton vegetable bags that you can get on another big, you can get them out there. I hate to say Amazon, but okay, they're on Amazon. And then also silicone bags instead of plastic bags, right? At home. So I have these reusable silicone bags. You put stuff in them, you can freeze, you can refrigerate, you wash them out, a small little dryer, and it's so good for the environment. It's so good for your household. And I also think it's good for your budget.
I love that. You know, that's a great recommendation because I know too, like I was just reading, we buy, probably shouldn't be buying, but on occasion those like take home containers, like it's black on the bottom with the plastic top, you know how you take home your food. Cause my son always meal preps his meals, which is great, right? He's not eating the junk at school, he meal preps, but the glass containers are really hard because they sit in his backpack for 3.5 months and they're gross, right? He doesn't bring them home to clean them out because he's a 17-year-old boy who is still learning to do dishes. And I don't clean out his backpack. So we've been buying these. And now, right, I'm reading about the black particles and how it's getting into the food and how it's so toxic. And now I'm like, great. So I'm like, dude, you need to just like make your chicken and your rice and carry it in your hands to school and eat it out of your hands that way. Cause I have no containers for you to take that are healthy. You know, we've had to nix those now.
They'll do them. It's great.
Silicone bags. Okay, we're going to do that because, yeah, the glass doesn't work for obvious reasons with a teenage boy, but everything else is like toxic and just icky. So, yeah, it would be weird to go to school with your chicken and your rice in your hands, I suppose.
It would. But that's a great point. Like, you know, you get a hot piping soup. Like anytime an illness comes through the house, tom yum soup, and there's this incredible Thai place. And I'm like, I'll call them. I'm like, you cannot put it in a plastic container. Like I will bring my bowl down, like, you know, cause I'm not going to like, I will bring my bowl. Please. I do not want hot piping soup in this plastic container, please. And they've done a little bit better for me, but it happens all the time.
Right. Right. Well, and it's convenient and it's inexpensive.
Yes.
You know, they're not going to sell you a plastic container.
Yeah. I was down in Tulum and we were walking on the beach and it was almost like the beach was crying. And that to me was like, all of the plastic that is just washed up, all of the trash that is washed up along the shore. Like that's how I felt, like the beach was kind of crying and it just made my heart hurt.
Yeah, I'm with you. We do need to do better, right? Like just as a population, we need to do better. There's no doubt. And part of that's education. All right. I want to switch gears a little bit because you wrote a book called The Healing Power of Trauma Comfrey. Okay. Tell me why, where was that born out of? I mean, it's an interesting title.
Trauma comfrey. I love that. So I love plants, botanical medicines. And so I had an astrology reading once, and the guy who was reading, you know how, when I met him on Zoom, he looked like Mr. Rogers. Like he looked like he was an accountant. And I don't know, for some reason, it immediately made me trust him a little bit more with his astrology. But every so often, I like to get a reading outside of like my own, you know, monkey mind in my head and just like understand where I might be in life cycles and with the rest of the universe and connected in that way. And so I'll treat myself to that. But he said something really funny that made so much sense is like somebody should have told her parents that girl needs a helmet. And I was like, because I have had like motorcycle accidents. I've been thrown off horses. It's like, for some reason I kind of move through the world and break things mostly on my body. So it was this fascinating, comfrey that, I mean, back in the day it was called bone set because you could actually with comfrey, and so it just was something that I have in my purse, in my, attaché case, in my backpack, in my gym bag, because I just need to take care of myself. Like I also love martial arts. So Muay Thai is what I'm into right now. And I was getting a massage yesterday and he's like, what happened to your leg? And I was like, oh, that's just leg conditioning. I have 2 huge bruises, but that's just so that's how that book came about.
So, all right, I have a deeper question that I think we then need to pursue because some of my favorite people on this earth are hurt all the time. What is that? Like, broken bones, yes, lumps and bumps, goose eggs. I mean, like, and I just look at them and think you really do need to live in, okay, now I'm going to say bubble wrap, which is politically incorrect because we're back to the plastic, right? So maybe you need to live in silicone wrap. I'm not sure what to do for these people that I love that are always broken.
I don't know. I've been going along really, really well for a while. So I don't know either, but I guess we're having fun. I used to make a joke because I do love horses and I've ridden motorcycles, and so I guess I like to straddle things. I mean, I said that. So I don't know.
So what do you do for saddle soreness? Is that a thing, Holly? Saddle soreness.
I would go for that comfrey cream right away.
Too?
Yeah.
I mean, if we combine a little comfrey and a little arnica, I think
Yes, perfect.
I think we got a marketing tool there for saddle soreness. So for everybody out there who likes to straddle things, The Healing Power of Trauma Comfrey is the book for you, I think.
Yes, I would say, or needs a helmet.
Okay, so is there anything you have yet to straddle that you would like to?
I really love horses and I really love motorcycles and jet skis, those like anything or snowmobiles, like anything that I can just drive and go really fast.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else you've missed. I don't know what else,
Yeah.
Tricycle seems a little slow for you at this point.
Yeah.
I think you're beyond the tricycle, although maybe safer, Holly.
No, I know. Don't worry.
Maybe, yeah.
I learned some lessons along the way.
All right. So I know something that you do for fun, but I want to talk about that a little bit. So let's go down the music realm, right? Because you and your wife, you play in a band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whiskey Flower Band.
Say it again.
Whiskey Flower Band.
Whiskey Flower Band. And where can we see you play?
So whiskeyflowerband.com. We had a residency at the famous Kibitz Room right here in Los Angeles for 3 years that we just sunsetted. Every third Friday you could see us. We played a couple times at Hotel Cafe here. And we are back in the studio making it our live recorded album. So that's what we're doing right now. So
I love that.
Early next year, we'll be back on the road.
I love that. And I think one of the singles is going to be a song about Dr. Cindy, right?
It is. As soon as you give me some little nuggets, we're going to write it.
Some nuggets. I think it's going to be a number 2 hit. Well, you know what's funny? Actually, you know what? I think this is brilliant because, when I got done writing my book, I had this like joke I would put out in the universe that Taylor Swift was going to get my book and she was going to read it and she was going to be so inspired that she was actually going to write a song about my life. And I was going to be on stage and I would read like a couple, sentences from one of the chapters and then she'd break out into the song and we'd be on this massive tour together. But I think I'm going to ditch Taylor Swift now for you guys.
I don't think you should do that just yet because I really like that idea. And I think that you might not be far off.
So I don't know, like I'll come out to Hollywood and we can start out there. And like, I think, let's see, the Eras tour, we could call it the I Straddle Everything tour.
Okay. Almost everything.
Almost everything. I Straddle Almost Everything tour. And I'd like to have the number 2 single. I'd like you and Julie to have your number 1 hit, but I think I would really like the number 2 single.
Okay. And I just want to congratulate you on your book and all of your work that you do. I mean, I think it's fascinating. It was so fun to meet you and then follow you for all these years. And then every so often, here we are on a group call together brought in from someplace in a different angle. And I'm like, oh my God, there's you. Hi. It's like,
we keep crossing paths. And you know what? That's what fun, inspired, intelligent women love to do, right? We just keep crossing paths so that, you know what? We've got to keep changing the world and educating and inspiring and build the tribe. It's super important. Oh my gosh, Holly, you are just absolutely a treat to have. We've got to take a quick commercial break because there's a couple people that are equally important to me as you and everybody else listening. And then I want to come back. I want to ask you some rapid fire questions and see what your answers are and how creative or non-creative you're going to be.
Uh-oh.
No, it's easy. We'll be right back. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered podcast. Stop. Hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. And we're back with Dr. Holly Lucille. We've had some fun talking about straddling things and naturopathic method. Did you like that? I just came up with a whole new degree.
Go to school.
Naturopathic method medicine. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, Holly. But we're going to start a certification. Holly and I are going to be your instructors. Sign up. It's only $9.99 if you sign up today. We will certify you in naturopathic method. See, can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it. All right. Anyway, I'm glad you're back. We're going to do some rapid fire questions because the nonsense otherwise will continue in the wrong direction. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. If you could domesticate any animal to have as a pet, what would you domesticate?
Unicorn.
Do they even exist?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I would make them exist and then also domesticate them.
Yes. I think the existence needs to come first. Domestication second.
Okay.
What is your what is your favorite body part and why?
Quads.
Both of them.
Just one, just the right one.
The right one. And why?
Because I feel like it's so fun to quad 4, right? To see all of the different separations of the muscle in like a nice defined leg. I don't know. It's fascinating to me.
If you could change the color of the ocean from anything but blue to another color, that didn't even make any sense. Let's do that question one more time, shall we? If you could change the color of the ocean to anything but the color it is, what color would you change it to?
Clear.
Oh my gosh, a lot of people say clear. You know what's funny? I don't think clear is a color.
It's probably not.
I don't think it is.
I think when you look at that visual, because what do we as humans try to do? We try to get our little mask on and our little breathing tube so we can look underneath the water and see things. And if it was clear, we could just look and see things.
Okay, let's try this again a different way then. If you could change snow to any color, what color would you make it?
Yellow.
Oh, yellow? You're not supposed to be near yellow snow.
I know, but then it would be so confusing for everybody. They wouldn't know which snow to eat or not.
That would be fun to videotape. I see that in our future. If there was only one mode of transportation that you could ever travel by, what mode would you pick?
Motorcycle.
Oh, see, that was too easy.
I'm sorry.
Okay, what kind of motorcycle?
Oh, I've had so many, but I do like vintage motorcycles. Like vintage motorcycles, they just classics with the kickstart. Like a moto.
Okay, so I'm gonna admit it. Oh my gosh, Dr. Holly, I cannot. Do you have a remedy? Will comfrey help with verbal language?
Just right here on the corners of your mouth.
Is that what I need so that I can fix my verbal language? Okay, I'm going to try that. All right, so I'm going to admit my ignorance here because I do sit on the back of a Harley. My boyfriend drives a Harley, but I'm not educated. Explain to me the attraction on the motorcycles to the handlebars that like ergonomically have to be very bad for us that are like up next to our head.
No, I can't. I think they're job security for you. I do not get it. I could never do it. I will never do it. It doesn't make sense to me. It looks completely hideous. I just do not get that. I don't get, what are they called even? Like high
I don't know what they're called either.
Choppers.
So if anybody is listening that can like let us know why that's attractive, I'm seriously
right in, please. Yes.
Yeah. Like there's two mystery questions I have in the world. One is why anybody would want to hold on to handlebars like that. And two, why men can't actually aim and pee in the toilet without hitting the wall. If those two things could just get solved for me, I would be good for the rest of my life.
As long as you have a eco-friendly cleaning solution to wash off those walls, that's going to be really important for our discussion.
It is. All right, Dr. Holly, what was your favorite thing about doing the podcast today?
Talking to you.
Oh, I love talking to you too. This was fun. I love it.
And watching you and seeing you grow and blossom and be everything that you are to everybody. And I can't wait for people just to get more and more of your information because I think that's where they need to be.
Well, we're going to keep doing this, right? We're going to keep sharing the wealth of knowledge with amazing guests just like yourself and letting people know that there's really good information out there. We're all going to grow and do this together. Holly, where do we find you? What's going on next in your world? How can we contact you, reach you, learn what you're doing, share information with all of our listeners, please?
In the digital world, my website is a little bit in transition, but it's still that good old drhollylucille.com. And there's a contact form if you want to email me. Right now, I'm only seeing patients inside of California and remotely, but that's pretty much where you can find me.
I absolutely love it. Well, you are seriously a joy. I can't wait to see what's next. I know we've got stuff in our future coming up together. We didn't even talk about that today, but listeners will have to just Google us and find us to see us. Yeah. It would be fun to share a stage with you one day. We're going to do that, I think, too. Anyway, if you want to learn more about what's going on in my world, please check me out at drsindyspeaks.com, where you can send me an email at hello@drsindyspeaks. The book is called Positively Altered: Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag, which is exactly where I continued to find it and still do. And it's available at Amazon and places you love to buy books. And if you don't read, you can listen to it. It's my voice, 7 hours in the car. It's fast, no big deal. I want to tell you all that my favorite thing about doing the podcast is just the banter back and forth. We have a good time together. It's always educational and exciting and no filter. So thank you, Holly, for such a fun time together. I hope all of you out there are left positively altered.